Hi, Kevin. Hi.
How are you?
Good. What about you?
Yeah, good, thank you. It's nice to meet you in person, well, on the screen at least.
Yes, nice to meet you. Maybe you can give a short intro about yourself. What brings you to crypto? How did you end up here in Kraken Futures?
Yeah, the very quick background on myself is I got into crypto in 2013. I just kind of became obsessed with Bitcoin. I actually emailed Gavin Andreessen, who was the chief scientist at the time, and rented a car for the day, took a day off work, drove up to Boston, which was about 5 hours away, took Gavin out to lunch, and then drove back to New York. After that, he introduced me to Charlie Shrem, and I met Eric Voorhees and a lot of those guys. Charlie actually offered me a job, and thankfully I didn't take it because the FBI raided BitInstant a few weeks later. So I joined the Bitcoin Foundation as their director of membership in 2014. Got paid in Bitcoin. It was a horrible experience, if I'm being honest. Working there was great. Getting paid in Bitcoin was, at the time, very difficult to do. And then after that, I joined a firm called Elliptic. So it was the first insured Bitcoin custodian. And then it pivoted to transaction monitoring and investigation. So they still provide anti-money laundering software for most of the exchanges today. After Elliptic, I was managing director at a firm called B2C2. They are one of the largest market makers and probably the largest electronic OTC desk in crypto today. After that, I was a partner at a firm called Elwood, which is Brevin Howard's cryptocurrency offering. So Brevin Howard is one of the largest hedge funds in the world. The owner had a project called Elwood, and I was a partner in that for a while. I've been at Kraken for almost a year now, focusing on the futures side of things, specifically on growth of futures. So I've been in and around the industry. I've sat in a couple of different seats across the industry. And I love it. I'll spend the rest of my life working in crypto, I'm sure of that.
I wanted to go back to Kraken. I think this is actually one of the first interviews that is made for Russian-speaking market about the Kraken exchange.
Yeah, I think so. I can speak on for Kraken, but I really represent the futures business, and I can tell you that we're extremely we feel honored to be interviewed by Forklog and you, and thank you very much for taking the time to do it. And
likewise.
And Russia is a big focus for us. So we're very proud to be working with Alexei, who was the president of React OS, and he was the founder of ICBit, which was the first derivatives exchange in cryptocurrency. He is like true OG crypto. The guy actually literally invented the inverse futures contract, which is a type of contract that's traded on BitMEX and Kraken Futures and Deribit, and some of the largest exchanges. So we're very proud to be working with him. He's based in Moscow. We've got Russian-speaking account managers at Kraken. So we've got our homepage in Russian. We've got support documentation in Russian. It is a very big focus for us over the coming months.
And how do you feel the competition? I'd say, well, I know a few exchanges that has been popular in the space in this particular region, but I wouldn't say that Kraken is the only exchange that is popular here. There are local exchanges that people has been actively using. There are quite a few big ones worldwide. Should I name them or?
You can, yeah. I think Huobi is quite large from what I've understood. Binance.
Bitfinex, then BitMEX. I'd say it is also quite popular. From the local ones, I'd say Yobit.
Yeah.
Yobit is quite big. Then in Ukrainian space, Kuna. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
No, it is more like Ukrainian. Okay. Then, yeah, I think we named most of the big ones. How do you feel in this competitive space?
Yeah, it's well, those are the competitors for the most part that we see in every market because they're just large. The other large dominant exchanges. I think what Kraken brings to the table as an institution is you could make a strong case, and one of the main reasons I joined is because I believe that it is the most trusted name in cryptocurrency. I love that Kraken has been here almost since the beginning. The firm always stands for, I think, what I believe to be the core values of cryptocurrency. So privacy, user privacy, security, trying to fund initiatives in the space. So they really do stand behind the community and have for many years. Also, they've got world-class security. It's a touchwood, I think one of, if not the only exchanges that has never been hacked. So as Kraken, we really try to stand for what is right in the community and what crypto originally stood for and what we believe it should stand for. That's not to say the other exchanges don't, but that is something that we really take a lot of pride in. And then in terms of practical benefits, we've got, I think, compared to the other exchanges that you referenced, I think we have probably the best fiat gateways. So especially if you're using euro, pounds, dollars, some of the other major currencies. So we've got extremely good fiat gateways and extremely liquid markets. And there's I think, a lot of trust in the user base that the markets are being run fairly.
Yes, I personally have been using your Euro gateway
cool.
for a while now, and I don't think I've ever had any issues with the bank.
Fantastic. That's great to hear.
Yes. It's like knock, knock. I mean, I'm not like a billionaire, so my transactions has been relatively small, but they always reached the bank. I think within 2 or 3 days, I got euros to my bank account.
Yeah, and it's like a weird benefit to talk about, but that really is actually a huge benefit to know that if you send money to Kraken or receive money from Kraken, there is an extremely high chance that it will arrive in your bank account and your bank account won't get shut down. That you can't say the same for a lot of other exchanges. There's a lot of bank accounts that will just systematically shut down your actual bank account if you receive crypto transactions.
You can also margin trade there.
Yes.
I think with leverage 5. I think so.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, so margin trading is a huge part of the Kraken business and has been for a long time. So when you trade margin, is it okay if I share a little bit about margin versus futures?
Please, so, let's go there.
Yeah, well, sorry, yeah. So there's 2 ways in crypto today to trade with leverage. One is margin and one is futures. When you trade with margin, if you do it at any exchange, you're actually borrowing funds. So you borrow funds either from the exchange or from another lender on the platform, and you pay interest on those funds. So your leverage comes from the fact that you've borrowed money, 3 or 5x, whatever up to 5x the amount that you've deposited. And you're allowed to buy and sell. So when you trade with margin, you trade on the spot market with borrowed money. So when you trade with futures, you're not borrowing money. You're actually not even trading the asset itself. You're trading a contract that reflects the spot price. That's why it's called a derivative, because it's derived from the spot price. So when you trade futures, you're buying contracts or selling contracts, and the leverage, because you can trade on Kraken futures with up to 50x leverage. The leverage comes from the fact that you deposit only a small amount of the total value that you're trading. So you can trade, for example, if you're a professional client on Kraken futures, you can trade with up to 50x leverage. So you can put in, say, the equivalent of $1,000 in Bitcoin and take a position with up to $50,000 worth of Bitcoin, long or short. And when you have that position open, you're not paying interest on having the position open. Depending on which contract you trade, you might encounter a funding rate. I mean, we could talk about that as well, but the exchange, importantly, isn't charging you to hold the position open. So it's a slightly different mechanism. Sorry to ramble there for a minute, but
okay, for me personally, would you recommend me as an active trader to use futures in my trading, and in which case I should use them? I mean, I get the part about borrowing, and that's definitely there. Then the second reason may be that the leverage is up to 50x versus normal 5x on Kraken margin trading. Anything else?
No, those are the main differences. Is really the leverage actually is probably the biggest difference that you'll notice in as you trade. I think so. Some people think about futures as being more advanced or more complicated than trading spot or even margin. And there are a few other things that you need to pay attention to, but I'm not sure that's actually an accurate way to think about it. Personally, I think about it like kitchen knives, like when you're cooking. So you have a drawer and you have several knives in the drawer, and you use one knife for a specific thing and you use another knife for a different thing. So they all do slightly different jobs, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So it's not spot or futures or margin or futures. It depends a little bit on what you want to accomplish. So there are three main reasons why people would trade futures. One is if you are an operating business. So for example, if you are a broker or a payments company like you've been working with, they very often have gaps between when the transaction is made and when they receive the funds. So for example, you and I might do an OTC trade for $1,000. You wire me the money, but I don't receive the money for 3 days. During those 3 days, I have price risk because we agree the price today, but I don't receive the money for 3 days. And for those operating businesses, futures are a very, very effective way to hedge that price exposure in a capital efficient way. So if an OTC desk trades with, say, 5x leverage, they have sort of 5x the capacity. They can have more 5x of outstanding trades at any one time. The second reason people trade futures tends to be arbitrage. So there are a few arbitrage trades you can do in futures, trading on the funding rate or the basis and premium. There are also people that will arbitrage different prices across different exchanges, and will use futures as a way to arbitrage as well. The third reason you would trade futures, or people tend to trade futures, is because it magnifies your trading gains and losses. So when you trade with leverage, it will if you use a lot of leverage, it will significantly magnify your trading gains and losses. So for example, let's say you have $1,000 worth of Bitcoin or Ethereum that whatever the currency you want to trade, that you deposit to the exchange, and you're a professional client, you can take up to a $50,000 position, long or short. But then you're trading with 50x leverage. So the implication there is that if the price moves by even 0.5%, you'll have a 25% gain or loss. So on your $1,000, a 0.5% price move can result in a $250 gain or loss. So it can be the impact of that can be quite dramatic and quite helpful if you have a specific strategy that you're running. Also carries more risk, I should say, as well.
Yes, yeah. Indeed. And what are your plans for the future? I mean, cracking future.
Yeah. So I think on both the spot and the future side, we're focusing on making both platforms more accessible for individual users. So the spot markets are working very hard to make it simpler to use, make it more easy to sort of get your feet into cryptocurrency. And on the future side, we're making it more accessible for people that have probably traded spot in the past. So we've just done a big back-end release about 3 weeks ago. We've just done a big front-end release about 2 weeks ago. We've added sub-accounts yesterday. So now any user can create any number of sub-accounts underneath them, which you can use to trade different strategies. Going forward, we see our differentiator in our regulated status. And the benefit of that is that you can have fiat. So the next thing up for us that we're working on is the ability to margin your trades using dollars and euros and pounds. We'll expand to other currencies as we go. But we think that actual fiat margining will be a big benefit for a lot of users who maybe don't want to hold crypto or aren't sure about holding crypto yet. And then after that, we'll be adding cross margins, the ability to put in any cryptocurrency, trade any other cryptocurrency, and even take your P&L in a third currency. So for example, you could deposit Litecoin, trade Ethereum, and take your P&L in Ripple, if that's what you want to do that day.
That actually sounds kind of cool. Hopefully. I like it. I like it. And then now speaking about cryptocurrencies, how do you select cryptocurrencies? The ones that you want to be on the platform. What are your criteria or something? I'd say tomorrow I issue my own cryptocurrency. I come to you and say, can I get it on your exchange? What would you say?
So on the Kraken spot side, they have their own cryptocurrency listing team. There is a special team that focuses on listings. And when I talk about Kraken tries to do things the right way, there's no listing fees. So you can't just buy your way onto Kraken. The team will pick the tokens that they think are interesting and consumers are interested in trading. So they have their own team. They're completely separate from the business units and they get to do their own thing, which I think is really powerful. On the future side, today we cover Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Ripple, and Bitcoin Cash. We are looking at adding a few more. It'll probably be over the summer. And over the rest of the year, we'll be expanding the contracts as well.
And now, again, speaking about traders, I mean, what kind of traders, just speaking about your point of view, are encouraged to trade at Kraken platform in general? So we can say that there are pros, there are flippers, there are people who just want to send their paycheck to convert from Bitcoin to fiat. What kind of people you are looking for your community?
Yeah, so Kraken as a platform is actually one of the few platforms that's built for everybody. So it is built all the way for the guy or girl with their first $10 that they want to buy in Bitcoin. And they make it very, very easy to onboard and start doing that. All the way up to literally the largest trading firms in the space are all trading at Kraken as well. So the company is built to service both ends. So there's teams that service the corporations and the large corporates, and there's a huge part of the company that just focuses on servicing individual traders and helping them trade more effectively. On the futures side, it's more or less the same. Like the vast majority of our user base is individual traders. So it's people who are either trading a strategy or hedging risk or any one of the things that you might use for futures, as well as some of the largest trading firms in the world. So we also try to service both.
I see. And do you have any advices for traders? I'm not saying investment advices, not at all. I'm saying maybe there are effective ways where traders can combine trading on spot and futures platform. Maybe there are things they should look for to grow as traders, to earn more. After all, we're trading to get more profit, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So one of the cool things about the integration is that you can actually leave your funds at Kraken spot and you can margin your account on Kraken futures. It's a ledger entry between the two firms. It takes about 1 minute for the transaction to clear, but your money never leaves Kraken spot. So you can deposit Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, whatever you'd like, and fund your futures account, then money will never leave the spot custody. And when you're ready to move it back to spot, you can just send it backwards. It's one of the only exchanges in the world where you can actually send dollars or euros in or pounds and send fiat currency in, buy cryptocurrency, and use that cryptocurrency to trade futures, all without the money ever leaving one central space. So I think in terms of how to trade better across them, I think it has a lot to do with how you want to trade and what your strategies are.
I'm just saying that for a lot of people, trading futures is as a new way of trading, and maybe they don't even have an idea of how they can use this possibility to become better traders. Maybe they're just not thinking about it. They know that there is somewhere in the system a possibility to trade futures. They just don't know how to use it. The first point was really good. I really liked it about joint accounts.
Yeah, so what I would encourage people to try before you try trading with real money is to try it on the demo account. So it's kind of cool. You can go in and, like, I've actually got a video of it that we're going to put online soon, but you can go in and create 2 accounts because you can create as many as you want and go 10x long and 10x short at the same time in separate accounts and see how that actually, what happens to the price and what happens to your profit based on the price move on the same trade, long or short. So I think it's really important that people try different things. There are a few cool things that you can do with futures specifically. So this is not investment advice, just generally speaking. You can use futures to lock in the fiat value of cryptocurrency without needing to sell the cryptocurrency itself. So for example, if you deposit, say, $1,000 worth of Bitcoin, and I've got a video that we'll put out about this as well, deposit, say, $1,000 worth of Bitcoin into Kraken futures, and you go 1x short. So you basically short the Bitcoin 1x, the exact amount you put in. It will actually lock in the value of it, because the way it works is if the price goes up, your Bitcoin margin makes money, but your short position loses money by an equivalent amount. And if the price goes down, the Bitcoin that you've deposited loses money, but the short position makes an equivalent amount of money. So it's actually an interesting way, if you don't want to have to hold fiat or stable coins, to actually hold cryptocurrency and still have the fiat value of your crypto locked in. There's a funding rate that can actually go in your favor depending on how the market is as well.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, go
Yes.
ahead, no, please.
No, sorry. I'm just thinking about my own trading strategies. So yeah, that makes sense. Good. Go on.
The other thing that you can do with futures, in principle, is what's called a cash and carry trade. So in cryptocurrency, with futures, you're basically trading. We have, sorry, I should start at the beginning. We have perpetual contracts, monthly contracts, and quarterly contracts. The perpetuals are essentially the spot price of cryptocurrency with up to 50x leverage. The monthly and the quarterly contracts you're trading the future price of Bitcoin. So essentially the market is trying to guess what the price of Bitcoin will be at the end of the month or at the end of the quarter. And sometimes the market will guess that the price is going to be higher than the current price. So it will trade with what's called a premium. And there are trades you can put in to capture that premium in a relatively low risk way. We do have some explainer videos about different ways that you can do it, but they're relatively low risk strategies that you can use futures for in a sort of hedging way.
I see. Well, I will enjoy those videos once you can share them. I think our viewers will enjoy them too.
Yeah, we're trying to make it more accessible because I do know it can be a bit intimidating to just go in and try to trade with leverage. So we're trying to show a few other things that you can do that don't involve trading with big leverage.
Okay, thank you. And for our Russian-speaking viewers, do you have any news about fiat gateways for Russian ruble? I think you mentioned that you have a few ideas about that.
Yeah, I don't have any news. I know the firm is looking at it. I think suffice to say it is complicated, but I don't have any news on it. I do know that Russian clients are more than what we would love. We welcome Russian clients at Kraken Futures, and I believe Kraken Spot as well. So we're very happy we're very excited about it. It's actually my main focus for the year. I was planning to be there in April for the Blockchain Life conference, and planning to come out for a few more conferences, but the travel plans have all changed now.
Yes, for all of us, unfortunately.
So yeah.
And then about Kraken long-term strategy as an exchange, do you have any insights where the whole exchange is moving? What should we expect as users, I'd say, within the next 1 to 3 years?
Yeah, I think Kraken, from everything I've seen, Kraken is working very hard to stay true to its founding principles and the core of cryptocurrency, and to provide security, provide stability, provide privacy for their users, and to scale the operation. It's actually now a very, very large company. It's more than 800 employees trading hundreds of, more than, I think yesterday they did something like $200 million in spot volume. We did something like $200 million in futures volume. It's actually like a genuinely large business at this point. And we take a lot, I'm really proud of the fact that the firm has stayed true to its roots. We have a personal connection to our users. I think scaling that up and making it easier to use will take a lot of our time and effort.
And what are your users' acquisition plans? How do you want to bring users from other platforms to Kraken? Get the whole, market dominance.
I can only speak for the future side.
Okay.
I know we're focused a lot on, again, making it easier to use. We're doing a lot of trading competitions and working with trading bot and trading partners. So we've opened up with FMZ. We have a competition live right now with Haas Online. It's actually just started. So if you trade with Haas Online through Kraken Futures, it's a weekly prize. Last week was $500. This week it's $1,000. Next week I think it's $2,500. It's a total of $5,000 in prize money over a few weeks. We did one with Gunbot a few weeks ago. So we're working very hard to work with where people are today for trading futures and then make it easier for people to understand how to trade. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And stay safe and healthy. I think right now it is really important.
Yeah. It's same to you as well and to anyone still watching. Thank you.